All right, Brent Fikowski here, the professor, with the Professor Project May 5th to May 11th. Going over today, this is the second week of this block. Hopefully you enjoyed the first week. Obviously now you're hopefully gonna start settling in to a little bit of a rhythm. But in this video today, I'm gonna go through a few very specific pieces of the program and just some thoughts and some experiences that I have using, these specific movements and in some cases accessories. So we're gonna look, first day of training, we've got the hip accessory, the hamstring curls, the slider hamstring curls. Now you can do this with your feet on like a towel on like a slippery floor. You can do this with some specific sliders, basically like a coaster type thing, but they're usually plastic that you can slide furniture on. Or you can put your heels on the seat of a Concept 2 rower and that will slide back and forth. Whatever it is, it needs to be very minimal friction. And the most important thing about this, there's really two really important things I want you to focus on. The first is making sure that you are squeezing your glutes. So if this is your butt cheeks, you're pushing those up. You're pushing your hips as high to the roof as you can through the duration of the movement. That's gonna better activate the part of the hamstrings that we wanna be using. So making sure you're doing that for the entirety of the movement. It kind of makes it harder, but it's really important you do that. So push those hips up. I know it's in the notes, but really try and push those hips up. Don't allow them to sag down towards the floor. And that's for the entirety of the movement. I want you to reach your feet as far forward as you can. So that knee will almost be straight at the start of each repetition. And that's going to make sure that you're getting the hamstring at the full range of motion. And obviously curl it as close as you can to your butt. So that's one thing, just really those hips, that's really important. I find that I get a much better burn, but also it's the correct way to do that exercise. I'm going to be talking next about, this is day 2 if you're doing the double day programming, so May 6th, Tuesday. Upper back endurance work here, and we've got the kettlebell seal row. So I typically use the kettlebell for the seal row instead of the dumbbell, as I can get them closer to my chest. So if I'm on a bench, if I use a barbell, it hits the bench. If I use dumbbells, the rubber hits the bench, but kettlebells, you can get them even closer. This is a slow tempo and a lot of reps. You're not gonna be able to use that much weight, right? We want 15 to 20 reps and we want a 2-second lower, pause at the bottom, and then bring them up fast and then slow down, right? But we do want them to be hard, right? You want these to be hard. You want these to be a good burn. What that weight is really up to you. Hopefully by last week and this week and next week, you're gonna kind of get into a rhythm there and really find what works there. It's just so important to have such a strong mid-back. And when you look at most of the movements that are done in CrossFit type movements, there's not a lot that specifically trains that motion. Like sure, there's rowing, but that's like aerobic work. And then everything else is a lot of like up or pushing up. The pulling, it's a lot of pull-ups. So this is really important. This is going to help your deadlift immensely. This is going to help your front squat immensely. This is going to help all of your gymnastics. It's going to help with your shoulder health, so you're not rounding in like this and getting unhealthy shoulders. So take this really seriously. Make sure that you allow the kettlebells, keep some tension. Don't just drop to the bottom. Obviously that's why the tempo's there, but allow them, your shoulders to shrug forward a little bit. You don't have to keep them here. You can allow them to stretch out. That's going to get a full stretch of that muscle. And then pull them as high as you can when you pull them up and really try to keep that tempo. And yeah, the seal row or, prone row is kind of another name for it. Keeping your face and your chest on that bench will make sure you're not using, your legs for any part of this. So really important one there to keep that tempo. And that's why I like using the kettlebells. You can use a barbell. You can use dumbbells. I really like this. This is May 7th. So that is the Wednesday, the inverted skills with running. So, last block, like we already talked about, there's some running and some just kind of handstand holds in between. This workout here is obviously just like a good workout, right? It's 10 rounds per time, 200-meter run, 30-foot handstand walk. It's a workout, right? Handstand walk is going to be running. What's fun about this is there's a few to me, this is a really good opportunity to continue to practice your confidence in your handstand walks under fatigue and really work on your transitions. So the big thing here is run at a pace. So as soon as you run into your handstand walk, you're just kicking right up, right? You're not running stopping, taking a break. If you have to do that, then just run slower the whole time, right? Or slow down that last 50 feet into a jog or a walk, but don't run to the line. Take a break, take a deep breath, and then kick up. Really want you to run, take 4 steps to slow down a little bit and then just kick up. And the 30 feet is there. Ideally, you're doing this 25-foot section. So you're like, Brent, why not just, 25 feet? Well, what I'd like you to work on there is that turnaround. So this is a good opportunity. What I sometimes find, and maybe this is just because I was training for a really long time, so I got to be, I got to be quite good at handstand walks. However, sometimes being on your hands, you get into a rhythm. Yeah, it's hard, but you do it unbroken, and then you kick up, and that's when the fatigue sets in. You're like, oh man, my shoulders are pumped, and now I need to take a bigger break. You shake out your arms, and then you do the second set of handstand walks. So what I'd like you to do is hit that 25 feet. And as soon as both hands cross that line, keep your chest low, keep your hands low, take 1 or 2 steps, turn around, kick right up 5 feet, and then you're out the door. Okay? So really focus on that 25-foot quick turnaround, kick right back up, and all you have to do is 5 feet. So that's in there for a reason, right? If this was 50 feet or if this was, 15 feet, or whatever that is, you're more likely to, oh, geez, I got to do 25 feet, take a big long break, 25 feet. Hopefully we can keep the intensity high with just being 200-meter runs. Hopefully 30-foot handstand walk is doable for you. And then if you can, if you do have to scale this, maybe do 10 feet, turn around 5 feet and back, right? So practice that turnaround, or even 5 foot, turn around 5 foot, right? Whatever that is. But really the 2 big things here are these 2 transitions. There's really 3 transitions. The first is from the run to the handstand walk, make that quick. The next is finishing 25 feet, turning around and walking an extra 5 feet. And the last one is obviously as soon as you finish your handstand walks, start running. Get running out the door. But that's usually pretty easy. So I'm excited about that. I think it's a really good training piece that's obviously, you're getting your running in, you're going to get a little fitter, your heart rate's going to get up, you're going to get a lot of handstand walking. It's going to be 300 feet of handstand walking by the end. That could be pretty tough. If you have the ability, add a pirouette in the even rounds, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But you don't have to do that. That's just something that I like to do. I like to add that in, especially if you have the skill. But that's what I wanted to kind of emphasize in that training piece. Quickly talk about pause deadlifts. Keep that bar close, right? So this is an opportunity, especially film this if you can. Film it from the side. You want to make sure you're squeezing that bar off the floor, getting it below the knee. 1, 2, and then finishing the rep. And it's a really good opportunity to really feel, where is that bar, right? Am I keeping my weight behind the bar? Am I starting to lean forward? Am I starting to bend? Am I braking? Is that bar touching my shins for the entirety of this rep, or is it hovering, this far in front of the shins? It should be right on the shins. It should be grinding up your shins. Sometimes it hurts how close it is, right? So keep that in mind. That's what I would like to see is keeping that bar close. That's what I really find the benefit of the pause deadlift. Especially with all the cleans we do and touch and go work, it can be a habit of CrossFitters to get that bar too far away from you. So this is a good opportunity to keep that close. Lastly, I want to talk about the Saturday ring muscle up skill work. Obviously the last training block we were working on a bunch of rope drills. This training block working on some of my favorite ring muscle up drills. And I've got a video in there that I filmed, and there's a bunch of pieces of that. You got to read through it. You got to watch the video. If you have time earlier in the week, maybe have a look at it, just to wrap your mind around it. It's a simple drill, but there's a lot of important pieces there. It can be easy to just jump up, a couple beat swings, couple pulls, do a turnover, done. And that is what it is, right? You're jumping up, you're doing a few beat swings, you're doing a few beat swings with a partial pull, and then you're doing a full ring muscle up turnover. No dip. You can do a dip if you want to, but that's not the point. Really, the big thing here is I want you to be able to jump from directly underneath the rings, just like you would, let's say, on a pull-up bar if you're doing a strict pull-up. Just jump and you're hanging, and that's it, right? You should be able to jump and hang without swinging back and forth. If you jump and grab with straight arms like this and you start swinging, that means you're likely jumping from too far behind the ring. So you need to step even further forward, maybe a half a step, right? 15 centimeters, maybe 6 inches, something like that. And you're gonna look up and it's almost gonna feel like those rings you're looking backwards behind you. it will be directly beneath you, more likely than not. So jump up, don't do the bent arm and that little like mini swing. Try not to do that, right? The best ring muscle ups in the world are performed by people that jump directly underneath the rings and start in a dead hang, and then they lift their feet up with straight knees, okay? So that's one of the most important things. Jumping directly beneath the rings, doing a dead hang, perfectly straight, perfectly still, straight legs, a little bit extra pause for this drill. Then lift up your feet, right? Not with bent knees, with straight knees. And start your bead swings. Do your bead swings, do a few bead swings with a partial pull, and then continue that into a ring muscle up. And hopefully using that drill from last week as well, where you're feeling that tension for the entire pull, right? You're not just snapping yourself over and trying to shoot your hips as high as you can. You are feeling that pull and then landing with tension on top of the rings. That's it. Lots of little tips there for this week. Enjoy this week of training, and keep in touch. If you need anything on True Coach, just let me know. I'm there.